Hello and welcome to, here we go. Welcome to the Preserved Word with Pastor Brad. I'm Brad McFadden from Bright Star Church in Hopkins County, Texas. We had an interesting question this week, or I don't know how interesting it is. It was interesting to me to kind of research. And on the front of it, on the face of it, it might seem like a simple question, but then when you take a look at it, it becomes more interesting. And that is, how is it possible that Jesus was traditionally, we celebrate Good Friday as the day that Jesus was crucified and died. And then we know that he was resurrected on the first day of the week, which would be Sunday. That's why we meet on Sunday. So how is that possible? That's not 3 days, is it? And so I've done this in the Zoom call so that I could create sort of a timeline for you so that you can understand. Now, let me tell you something right off the bat. The Bible does not tell us what day of the week Jesus was crucified. It doesn't say he was crucified on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or anything like that, okay? Nor does it tell us what day of the week, the first day, second day, third day of the week. It doesn't tell us that. It tells us that he was crucified and died the day before Sabbath. Now, the day before Sabbath would be Friday because Sabbath is Saturday. However, it's not that simple. But so there's two views. Okay, let me start over. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly what day, except that it tells us it's the day before Sabbath. Okay, that doesn't, and we're going to explain why it doesn't necessarily mean it's Friday. But because the Bible doesn't tell us, then it's important to know that it's not that important. It's not a doctrinal statement. It is really not a problem or anything like that. It's just an interesting question to pursue. And so we're going to pursue it. And there's two answers. One, he was crucified and died on Saturday. What does that mean? Friday, the day of preparation. Or two, he died on Wednesday. And then there's some people who teach he died on Thursday, but I don't understand how they get that day. But I'm going to explain to you the Wednesday and Friday explanations, okay? All right. First of all, let's take the traditional view. This is the one that the church has held. I wouldn't call it orthodox because it's not a doctrine necessarily. It's just a view. Oh, you know what? I really want that to be a straight line. Hold on. Let me undo that. Okay, so we have our first timeline. There we go. And I'm going to be fast and I'm kind of going to be rough and ready here with my explanation, with my drawing. Okay, I'm not going to get too fancy here. But let's say I bought a cow. Let's say I bought a cow yesterday. Okay, and somebody comes up to me. These little things represent days. Here's day 1, day 2, day 3. Okay, so let's say I bought a cow yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Today, somebody around noon comes up to me and says, "Hey, how long have you had that cow?" I would say, if I was a Hebrew in that time period, I could say 2 days. Traditionally, today in our culture, we would say 1 day, right? But they would have looked at it as they owned that cow on yesterday and they own that cow on today. So they've owned that cow for 2 days. That is a proper way of speaking in Hebrew back then. Okay. So if you want to view the Friday, okay, crucifixion, Jesus died and crucified on Friday. Let me show you how that would work. First of all, well, let's just talk about that. This can get confusing, and maybe I should have thought it out a little better before I started. But anyway, so we have Friday right here. And Jesus is crucified and dies. Of course, we know he's crucified and dies on the same day. He's crucified and he dies on Friday. And he's buried then on Friday evening. Okay, then he would have been in the grave for Friday, all day Saturday, and part of Sunday. Then rising from the dead on the first day of the week, which the Bible tells us. Okay. So he rises from the dead on the first day of the week before the women get to the grave. Okay. So you have a very short part of Friday, all of Friday night, all day Saturday, which would have been the Sabbath, all of Saturday night, and part of Sunday morning. Okay. So you have 3 days. Okay. The problem here with this theory is that there's not 3 nights. There's only 2 nights. And Jesus did specifically say when he was comparing with Jonah in the belly of the well, that he was in the well 3 days and 3 nights. So it will be with the Son of Man. That's what he says. But this is the typical Friday view. And there's nothing doctrinally wrong with that. This day would have been the Sabbath. I don't hold to this. I left out a B. Hold on, there's 2 B's in Sabbath. There we go. I don't particularly hold this for a multitude of reasons. I think it makes more sense and more biblical sense to say he was crucified on Wednesday. And let me show you why. First of all, we know, I know I'm making this very messy, but I at least want the timeline to be straight. There we go. All right, so now we have Wednesday right here. Then you have Thursday. There's Thursday. Here's Friday. Here's the Sabbath. And here's the first day of the week. Okay, so this would be the Sabbath. The problem is that we know for a fact there are 2 Sabbaths this week, because a Sabbath doesn't necessarily just mean the 7th day of the week. It also means any religious high day, a feast day. And we know there were 2 Sabbaths this week because there was Passover and then there was Sabbath. Okay. You can see that. Oh, I don't have my, I'm doing this a different way. But you can see that in John. If you go to John, I'll just give you the reference here. It's actually mentioned in John chapter 19, verse 31. It talks about that it was a high day. The Sabbath was a high day. That Sabbath was a high day. Okay. The day of preparation. The reason why they came around and broke the legs of the 2 people that were hanging on the cross on either with Jesus. We don't know that Jesus was in the middle, but we typically picture him in the middle and then the 2 guys on either side of him. But the fact of the matter is they came and they broke their legs because it was not proper to leave people hanging on the cross on the high day, on Passover. And so they asked Pontius Pilate if they could break the legs of those who were had been crucified in order to allow them to go ahead and die, because then they couldn't push up and breathe. So they would have strangled to death, which was a horrible way to go. But they asked for that, not for mercy for them, but just so that there wouldn't have been people hanging on the cross on the Passover, on the high day, which would have been Passover. So there were 2 Sabbaths. In this view, in the Friday view, both Sabbaths would have happened to take place on Sunday, and that's possible. The Passover day shifts, but Sabbath is always the 7th day of the week. So it is possible that the Passover and the Sabbath would have been on the same day. However, it's not really likely, and I'll tell you why. It's more likely that the Passover was Thursday. Okay, so Jesus is crucified. You like my writing there? So Jesus is crucified on Wednesday. They come and they break the legs of the other 2. So they didn't break Jesus's legs because he was already dead. They simply pierced him in the side, but they pierced him in the side to make sure he was dead. And that fulfilled prophecy because none of his bones were supposed to be broken. So anyway, he died. So he's crucified and dies on Wednesday. Then they came and broke the legs and everything because the next day was Passover. Okay. The high Sabbath. Okay. And then, by the way, I guess in this view, you would say that this was Sabbath, that this was a double Sabbath because it was also Passover in this view. Okay, there we go. This is my tomb. You like my tomb? I'm a good drawer, aren't I? Now, in this view, you have Jesus dying here. Then you have Passover. Okay, then you have another day of preparation. Okay, this is considered a day of preparation because you had to prepare everything in order to have the Sabbath because you couldn't work on the Sabbath. So this would have been a day of preparation and then the second Sabbath. Okay, this would have also been a day of preparation. You can work all you wanted to on that day, but you needed to make sure you got everything ready for ahead of time so you didn't have to do anything on the Sabbath. So in this view, and here's why this view kind of makes more sense for a couple of reasons. One, we know that Mary, that the women went and bought spices to put on Jesus's grave and to anoint him. And they went and bought those things, it says, on the day of preparation, and then they went to the tomb after the Sabbath. So this is when they came to the tomb. So the only day they could have purchased those things would have been here. Okay, we know that they purchased them after his death, but before, after his death, but before they went to the tomb. So, and they purchased on the day of preparation. So they couldn't have purchased them here. They had to purchase them over here. They couldn't have purchased them on the Sabbath. Because nobody bought and sold on the Sabbath. Okay. Now, nobody would have bought and sold on the Passover either. Now, could they have purchased these things from, there's no documentation. I mean, this isn't okay. Remember, we're not talking about doctrine here. We're talking about theories. So could they have possibly purchased them some other time? Sure. I mean, I'm not saying that this is impossible. I'm just saying I like this theory better. The other reason I like this theory is because you have 3 nights. Okay. So you have Jesus in the tomb here, then all day here. Okay. That's 1 night, 1 day, 2 nights, 2 days, 3 nights, 3 days. And then we know that the tomb is found empty here, but he could have risen at the evening of the Sabbath. So after the Sabbath was over at sundown, he could have risen immediately and not spent a 4th night in the grave. Okay. We know he's in the grave 3 nights and 3 days, or at least he makes that analogy with Jonah that he's in the grave 3 nights and 3 days. So this theory to me makes sense that, let me erase that. And then we have, I'll just put an arrow right here. There, that makes more sense. So here you have 3 nights and 3 days. Here, you can claim there's 3 days, but you can't say there's 3 nights. Okay? There's no way to make this into 3 nights. Now, the other way, or the way you could still keep a Friday crucifixion and death, is to say that when he said that about Jonah, it was just another way of saying 3 days. When he said 3 days and 3 nights, that it didn't necessarily have to be 3 nights. It was more of an idiom, a Hebrew idiom, which are used a lot. I mean, yeah, it's fine. I mean, like I said, it doesn't break any doctrine. I just think that if you're going to take the Bible a little more literally, which I always like to do, then you're going to do it here. Now, there is a Thursday. This is the Wednesday view. Okay, this is the Wednesday view. This is the Friday view. There's also a Thursday view, of course. But to me, the Thursday view makes the least sense of either one of these. I would rather have a Friday than a Thursday view. The Thursday view they like because then you have him resurrect. You just have him resurrecting here after a night after the Sabbath, instead of early in that evening after sundown rising. You would have him rising here after sunrise, or right at sunrise, and then shifting everything over. The problem with that view is you don't have the preparation day in the middle. You have no day in which the women could go buy the spices. Okay. And that seems to be, that this view just seems to fit that better. And I don't know why you would shift to, is it possible? Is the Thursday view possible? Sure. But then you don't have time for the buying of this stuff to happen. By the way, in the Friday view, they would have bought the spices on the same day he was crucified. Okay. So this would have been preparation day. And this is when they would have bought the spices here. Okay. But timing in the passages, when you read them, it seems to be after his death, they go and buy the spices because they're with him at his death. They're with him all day as after he's crucified. There's all of the passages, all of the four gospels all have witnesses that the women were there witnessing his crucifixion or his hanging on the cross, his death, when he cried out. So now, could they have gone and bought the spices after his death, but on this day? Sure. Like I said, we don't know. Okay. So these are but to me, these two theories, this is the traditional one, which is, I like tradition and I like, that kind of, hey, this is for hundreds of years that we've thought it was Friday. Why change it? I get that. And that's, to me, the attractiveness of the Friday. However, the Wednesday I like because it makes more sense biblically when I tie everything together. It makes more sense in my head. Again, this is not doctrine. The closest you get to doctrine is Jesus saying, just like Jonah in the belly of the whale, the Son of Man will be in the tomb. Where is that quote at? Let me find that quote for you, and I'll just read it. Y'all probably already know where it's at. Matthew 12:40. So let's go there. Of course, I'm going to be reading out the New King James. If it says something different in your Bible, that's your problem. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. So if he's got to be 3 nights in the heart of the earth, you take that passage literally, then you end up with the Wednesday. You have a Good Wednesday instead of a Good Friday. Okay. You have his death, his crucifixion and death on Wednesday instead of Friday, because it's the only way you get 3 nights. Can't get 3 nights with a Friday view. Okay. Okay, there you go. It doesn't matter. You're a Christian, whether whichever one you believe. The Bible is right, whichever one you believe, and the Bible is inerrant, whichever one you believe. This is, like I said, this is that Matthew 12:40 is the closest you're going to get to any kind of biblical doctrine that makes any difference when you look at this. And that's why I lean towards the Wednesday view, because I like to take that literally. However, you could take it as an idiom and be fine with the Friday view. Okay. All right. There you go. When was Jesus crucified and died? I'm going to put my my bet on Wednesday. When I get to heaven, I'll ask Jesus, or he'll give me a word of knowledge and let me know. I don't know how that's going to work when we get there, but we'll figure it out. Okay. It's just one of those fun Easter things to look at. I like that. No controversy there, really. And I hope that you have a good Easter, a good Resurrection Day, or however you want the Lord's Day. Some people like the word Easter because, it used to be pagan or whatever. That's fine. I'm not worshiping anything except Jesus, so I don't care what you call it. I hope that you have a good one. I hope that you can go to church on Sunday and with your family and get a good message about the resurrection of Jesus Christ and how important that is. It means everything. It means everything. Hope you have a good week, and I'll talk to you later.